Hey there, I'm Neil. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the host and producer of Pause and Rewind, the podcast that chats to changemakers, thought leaders and role models who all share a common goal. They're striving to make the world a more inclusive place. And, let's face it, we need it. Each guest has a unique story when it comes to doing their thing, and we often know who people are in the now, but how much do we really know about them? Pause and Rewind takes a moment to explore the experiences, realisations and relationships in my guest's life that led them to where and who they are now, because everyone loves an origin story. We'll dive into tales, anecdotes and a little of what makes our guests tick. So whether you're here for insights or inspo or simply want to know about your heroes, this podcast is for you. You might never know someone's story, but if you pay attention, you'll hear it, you'll see it and you'll feel it. So, are you ready to pause and rewind? Well, this might be my strangest welcome ever, but Jayney, welcome to Pause and Rewind.
Neil, thank you for having me. I've listened to so many of your shows. I can't believe I'm actually on one. Are you sure you want me here?
I am absolutely 100% sure that I want you here, obviously. You know, as I said to you just a couple of weeks ago at your big birthday, I am a fully fledged and subscribed member of the Jayney Show, so I'm here for it all the time. For those people who might be listening that want a bit of context as to why this might be the weirdest welcome I've ever done, Jayney is one of my best friends in the whole fucking world. And so this setting is a bit different for us because we chat relentlessly all the time. Having you on the podcast is just a whole different layer to our friendship.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like because I've known you for 17 years and I do like to tell a story or two, I feel like you've had everything. I feel like I don't need to be here. You could tell my origin story, but it might be surprising. There might be some bits and pieces you don't know or you'd forgotten. But I won't be testing you. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be nearly as entertaining as if you do it yourself. So I'm going to hand that over to you. And I'm going to start with a question that I kick off at all the podcasts. And that is, what does the world look like for Jayney Flatman right now?
Right. Well, you've got me in I don't know why I banged the table, but you've got me in a really good place right now, Neil. If we look behind me, we can see homage to Jayney Fest, which was my 60th birthday party, aka a festival in my name called Jayney Fest. And that might tell you a little bit about me and my origin story right there. So I'm so bloody pleased I did it. I had doubts. Do I do this? I mean, as you know, my 50th birthday was a crazy one. It was the Brit Awards and I was a superstar at the Brit Awards. So it was coming up to my 60th. What do I do? I'm older now. I'm sober now. Maybe I have a more sedate affair. And then I had a little word with myself and decided, nah, I'm going to go big and I'm going to have a festival in my name. And thanks to you and so many other people that helped make it real, and everyone that went, I say real, a real festival. Yes, it was a real festival. Everyone that went along with it on the day and all the love in the room and just all last weekend. I definitely recommend going big for big birthdays because I feel amazing. I get to start the new decade actually in a celebration mode. And you also know that I don't love getting older in general. So it's like, okay, pick it up and look at it a completely different way around. Make it big. You can't do anything to change it happening. So enjoy it and enjoy celebrating. So honestly, I'm in such a good place. I feel amazing and I just feel ready to start this next decade, which is really good timing to be talking to you because, of course, I've been reflecting on my life so far and I've been thinking what led me to get a point where for my 60th birthday I star as a headliner on a festival called Jayney Fest, and I managed to have a group of people around me that sort of understand me and don't think, what the hell, who does she think she is? They're like, okay, who does she think she is? Oh yeah, it's her, of course she's going to do that. And
I mean, really absolutely. Good. I often say, like, for anyone else, I might roll my eyes and think, what the fuck? But the fact it's you, I'm just like, no, I'm all in.
Excellent. And thank you. Thank you for humouring me and enjoying it with me. Loved it.
But it's not humouring you, though. It's not humouring you. It's knowing, loving and accepting you for who you are and, you know, all the eccentricities and the joy and the joy that not just that you are, but the joy that you bring. And that's something that you've been on a real journey with. And I get to see that every day. And I love being part of it.
going to get emotional. I can tell we only just started, but just reflecting on everything has made me emotional anyway. The weekend has made me emotional. And I've just noticed since celebrating, I feel that little bit more confident in myself. I just feel like I'm owning myself. I'm who I am. I kind of got that validation that I needed and unashamedly wanted validation, got it
Yes.
in bucket load. So there I am. I feel great. Thank you.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting it. I'm going to come back I'm going to come back to moving into those comfort levels around certain things, age being one of them. I also want to touch on queerness with you as one of them as well, particularly with how the world looks like right now for you. But just for anyone listening, what do you do and how do you show up in the world? So thinking professionally, a job, but also the bits on the side.
Okay, day job. I work in the corporate travel industry and I have done for the majority of my life, apart from a couple of years in the water business, but doing a similar job. So I've always been a leader. I've been a leader of people and projects and things for many years, and I love it. I love I love the drama and the deepness of my role and find it very satisfying. But as you know, I also get stressed. I get stressed with it. So a lot of what I do is sort of managing my stress, do a lot of talking to myself that, it's all okay, you've got this, and end up doing okay with it. Always been a leader in professionally. And I think outside of work, I will tend to be some kind of a leader in different areas, or I will be a party planner. I was always the biggest party planner till I met you, Neil, but you trumped me. So I stepped aside, but we've often arranged parties ourselves. That's one of the things we did from the early days, and of course right up to date. For the last 4 years, we've been running the House of Happiness together. I spent a couple of years running a queer community, a community for queer women and non-binary people. And that was accidental, really. I was actually looking to meet somebody. So again, unashamedly decided I wanted to meet somebody after being happily single for many years. So I decided to get myself out there in the community, and just found myself not only starting to help run it, but helping to put on a new monthly night. So I feel like sort of whatever direction I go in, I end up doing maybe a little bit more. And as I think about my origin story, I think partying, having fun, dancing tends to be part of what I do. I mean, currently I don't have anything outside of my professional job, but I feel like the space is there, apart from the House of Happiness, but I feel like the space is there for something else to come up in the future. But right now there are no plans for that.
Well, to see what happens. And I think that's one of the beauties in knowing you as a person and seeing how you've evolved over the years. The evolution of Jayney could be a whole series in itself, looking at that. But how you really throw your heart and soul and energy and joy into stuff to bring it to life as well. And I think that, I know how intentional you can be, but I also know that you'll go with the flow, kind of that accidental falling into something leads to so many beautiful things.
I think accidental, going with the flow, and being intentional, they sound like opposites, but that's pretty much summed me up there. As I think about everything I've done, it's not necessarily been thought through. It's been like, okay, yeah, we'll do this now, shall we? And then once I'm in that frame of mind of let's do this now, shall we? It's always about doing it properly, doing it big, not holding back. And like we did with the House of Happiness, I remember the conversation was, shall we just start off small? And we were like, no,
fucking right.
Let's go big, and then let's put it out there. The same for when I started with a couple of others, when I started Pink Friday, which was a new monthly night. I remember the venue wanting to let us have the basement area. And I was like, no fucking way. I needed to make sure I knew enough about inclusion at that point, luckily, to make sure that we were trans inclusive, and to make sure that we were open to everyone at the same time, open to everyone within our community at the same time, making it clear that we did not want gay men there, because we felt that gay men had their own space within the queer community. We were a minority that needed our own space. So out of the three of us that were running that, I was the one, I noticed myself really pushing forward for that. I remember going down to the venue and saying, no, and I literally was saying to them, okay, we're not going to go ahead unless we can have what we need. And so
Yeah.
we ended up with a prime spot on a Friday night, first Friday of the month. That was exactly the space that was needed at the time. And I'm very proud of that. So yeah, so I don't know. I think something else might come up for me within inclusion. But I certainly feel that I've learned a lot over the last few years, and mainly from you. I started off from learning from you, to be honest. When we started the House of Happiness, I don't think I knew much at all. And it
Right.
was 2022, and you were just talking straight away about we've got to be inclusive, and I don't remember even really knowing that vocabulary at the
Yeah.
time, but I remember you explaining it to me, and around about that time there was something, I think it was there was something trans in the news, or if it was we were putting something up on the House of
Yeah.
Happiness, and I started to learn from that. So I think one thing leads to another as well,
Yeah.
and then if it wasn't for
Yeah.
learning from that, then I wouldn't have known where I was to be able to really push forward for Pink Friday.
Yeah, well, we all start somewhere, right? We all have to start somewhere when it comes to our understanding and how we then put that into action when it comes to allyship. But I would say that you are someone that has really found your voice in inclusion over the last few years. And I remember those early conversations about launching Pink Friday as part of Dogs and Dykes, which went on to become Queer and Now, is the whole rhetoric around stop putting lesbians in the basement, and
Yeah.
no, we are a space for this type of people, and you really finding your own voice. And I wonder then, when we think about that rhetoric around stop putting lesbians in the basement and insisting on using your voice, that has become such a fundamental part for you to who you are. And I wonder how much of that is a reflection of the past of maybe not always having that voice.
Yeah, that's really interesting. As I've been reflecting on my origin story, I'd say I'm very much like a sea of contradictions in a way. So I could be the really shy person that doesn't speak up, but get something that I'm annoyed about, and I will speak up. You know, I'm fiercely loyal. I'll find my voice when I really need to. But what I'm learning to do, and I'm still learning, is to not just wait till my back's against the wall, to have that voice all the time, to speak up, not wait for somebody else to speak. And so don't let any conversation go. Don't hear anything that's not okay and not say something, thinking, oh, it's okay. It's not okay. So definitely in the last few years, you'll not hear me in a room with anyone hearing anything that's not okay without me putting my foot there and just saying, hang on a minute, that's not okay. So that
Yeah.
doesn't really match with the shy girl that didn't really want to cause any trouble. And yet here I am, but still learning, but just really wanting to speak up, and yeah, find my voice. Haven't always got it, but I will, in those really important moments, I'll find it for sure.
You'll find it. You'll find it. I have seen you advocate. I've seen the way you advocate for yourself and others massively change over the years. And part of that does come down to your age, leaning into your age. And we've had conversations about age, many conversations over the years, where it's like nothing we can do about it. We've had
Yeah.
multiple conversations around kind of like body and physicality around that. And also your embracing of the term lesbian as well, and queerness is something that's shifted massively over the years. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I don't know when exactly my relationship with the word lesbian changed. I think it had a lot to do with me not coming out early on. I mean, I didn't come out early on as soon as I knew, which was in the 80s. So I honestly think it was because of the word lesbian. I remember thinking to myself, I can't be a lesbian, because a lesbian was like a really dirty, horrible word. And um, when I met all of you, I say all of you, you're one of the main people that I met around 2009. I'd just come out of a long-term relationship, which was on the back of another long-term relationship. So I'd been in relationships for many, many years. Suddenly I was out in the world, and it was out in the queer community, single, but most of my friends were gay men, which I absolutely loved that time. And they've continued, you and others have continued to be some of my best friends to date. So now I think that's when I started to like the term. I mean, I loved you calling me your lesbian bitch from hell. That probably helped. I loved that. And yet wasn't really enjoying the lesbian scene. I did try and go into it
Mm.
a little bit. And I always had over the years. I didn't always have a great experience. I remember many years ago going on my own to Candy Bar and the other women in there just telling me I wasn't welcome there because, I was wearing a feather boa and high shoes and lipstick. I don't know if we'd even heard the term lipstick lesbian then. It wasn't. I don't know if it was even a thing. But I was told, you're not a lesbian. You're not a lesbian. But there was a time, I'd say a few years ago, it was just after we started the House of Happiness, when I had like an awakening, if you like. I've been out for many years, but not really in the lesbian scene. And as is typical, it was you giving me a little pep talk saying, well, just get yourself out there. So I went out and I went to a meetup group and I went to a meetup at, what's the bloody name of it? Polly's, South Bank Surfing, that was it. And all of a sudden I was in a room full of queer women all having really nice chats, and I felt like a kid in a candy shop. Honestly, I remember texting on the bus on the way home going, oh my God, this is amazing. And I think that was probably by then I was really, really proudly a lesbian. That was only 4 years ago. I was really proudly a lesbian at that point. And I then really wanted to own it. I wanted to say the word more. I wanted to do more posts about, Lesbian Visibility Week. You kindly bought me laces and a bubble hat and all sorts because you really embraced me. You noticed me doing that. And that felt really good. And I do really hold on to that because lesbian has sometimes had a negative connotation when we think about the awful toughs. But I have talked to Jess and you over time and said, but I still want to identify as lesbian, but still want to make sure I'm part of the inclusive of lesbianism, and yet don't just come away from the fact that I'm proudly a lesbian today.
Yeah. You've embraced it. I've seen you own it. Even the word dyke, is kind of something that I've seen you've seen you use and kind of like use that as a form of empowerment. I think it's been a massive shift over you in you over the years. So I think it's really brilliant to see and stepping into that and to go on to then create what you created with Queer and Now and be part of that and being the representation that you needed. There's still such a rhetoric and connotations around the term lesbian, but I think that amazing people like Polly and yourself and so there's so many people creating those communities for queer women, and as you know, huge advocate for those spaces as well. So I think they're so needed, and what you created, even though it's no longer here, was beautiful and so needed at that time.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And it would have continued had it have been needed. But also, as you know, there was a unfortunate falling out where we had disagreements for, one of the other organisers that wasn't able to fully embrace the inclusion, and all around the time the awful bloody Supreme Court ruling.
Yes.
And so if I look back on that, we created the Queer and Now crew when it was needed, but then there became a time when there wasn't the demand there for it anymore. And so we were kind of flogging something that wasn't needed. So that's how it stopped.
And unfortunately, community politics and egos, I'll call it what it is here, community politics, egos and bullish behaviour, unfortunately does tear some communities apart. So I think that it's great to hear that you're able to look back at that with pride and say, do you know what? It might not be here now, but it was needed and it served a purpose. Also, all of the things you've put your heart and soul into have worked for you as well. When we first launched the House of Happiness, neither of us expected to walk to find a community that we didn't know we needed. We didn't set it up to create friends, but we created something really beautiful, safe, inclusive, fun, as we always talk about, that we needed. But also off the back of that, you met your fiance.
Yes, I mean, I don't know if you remember somebody sort of calling me out on it before a few events before I'd met Jess, and I was just chatting, saying, oh yeah, I really want to meet someone. And she was saying to me, it was Keith's wife, she was saying to me, hang on a minute, you mean you've been running a queer, sober dance party and you want to meet someone? Are those two things connected? No, but now you come to mention it, I've not pulled once at the House of Happiness. What the hell's going on? And then a few events later, on February the 17th, 2024, was the end of the House of Happiness Red event that day. I met Jess, fast forward a couple of years, and she's a person that I proposed to at the end of last year, and we're getting married next year.
It's so
Yeah.
exciting. So when I asked, what does the world look like for Jayney Flatman right now? Fucking hell, it looks looks so different to what it looked last year, to the last kind of couple of years, and so much of that comes down to your sobriety and just your commitment to be happy and to move forward and to roll with the punches.
Yeah, that's it. That's interesting you should say that's my commitment to be happy. That's kind of when I think about how I've always been, I'm just trying to work on being happy, having joy in my life. And if something's missing, then working on what I can do about that. And I wrote a list of what I wanted in my future perfect girlfriend. And I got her, apart from the only thing she didn't have that was on my list was must have a job that she loves. Well, she started that today. It took a while, but she started that today.
So she did. So she did. And again, it talks to you are a walking bag of contradictions.
I am.
But in the best way. The intentionality coupled with that easygoing, go with the flow.
Yeah.
It works. It doesn't, it's not a negative. I think it's a really fundamental part of who you are. We're going to dive into that right now. I'm so excited I've heard a lot of it before, but anyone listening, I can't wait for them to hear it. So Jayney, into your origin story, are you ready to pause and rewind?
I am ready to pause and rewind. Yes.
Here we go. Take me back. Tell me all about little Jayney.
Okay, well, I was always moving from a very young age. I was born in York, and within 6 weeks, my parents were in the Air Force, within 6 weeks, I'd moved to Fontainebleau, just outside Paris. A little while later, I moved to Holland, and then I spent the next few years living in RAF Valley in Anglesey. And so moving around has continued to be a theme of my life. And I remember like a lovely childhood. My little sister Sarah was born a couple of years after me. My brother Simon, 4 years after that. And then Claire came along when I was 12 years old. But my main memories are I'd say, mainly from Wales. And I just have images of sand dunes and playing out and all that kind of thing. So, and going to school and the teachers speaking in Welsh and loving school. Being, again, the contradictions were there from an early age. Being the really quiet one, the really shy one that went red, that cried a lot, but also the one that would be leading a group or being the teacher in a little group of friends, deciding that we would go on adventures and that I would be the leader unless anyone else would do it. That's been the theme. If somebody else was there, I would let them do it. But it was in me, I think, to naturally want to be a leader given the opportunity.
And when you think back to that contradiction in itself, do you still feel that now? Like, do you still see that in the Jayney that we see now? Or do you think you've stepped into a place of power where you're maybe less likely to hand over the reins to someone else?
Less likely, but it takes me right up to present day. It really does take me right up to present day because the one that didn't have any contradictions, for example, 60th birthday party, which was a festival, would have just gone forward and just gone, I'm having this, but you don't see the one that's got the doubts and what am I doing? Do I want to be this big and bold? And so that's the contradiction that has continued. Even in work, I can feel in different times I'm putting myself forward and other times holding back. So I consciously try not to hold back now. And I have been going through therapy for about the last year, which for the first time in my life. And I'm learning a lot about myself through that as well. Awareness is massive. It's really helping me. I do analyze myself a lot, but I think I'm okay with that. So I just like, okay, what's going on here? And just making myself in fact, I'm here today, Neil. I'm doing this podcast. I was like, I can't do this. I haven't got anything to say. And then thinking, actually, maybe I have. It's not everyone that, goes sober and ends up running a sober rave. It's not everyone that has the festival. It's not everyone that decides on a whim, to move to London for 6 months and is still here 36 years later. So I'm like, okay, I've got things that
Yeah.
might be a bit jumbled up, but I've got a story or many
Yeah.
stories to tell.
You've
Well, that's
got,
why I'm
yeah,
here.
yeah. Can affirm you have many stories. And you should be here. You should be here. Let's dial it back a bit. Is there a favorite anecdote that you've heard about yourself growing up?
Well, that at the party, I've heard many times, and having shared houses and flats with me for, I don't know, over 10 years, it might surprise you, but this was the one where mum left me on my own. Because she says, that, in those days, she used to just go out to the shops or whatever, go to cinema and just leave me on my own. So 2 years old, she left me on my own and she came back and I pulled the curtains down and washed them for her. That was in Holland. Around the same time, I'd be out on the balcony, peeping through to the next door neighbour's dog and just absolutely fascinated by the dog. So these are lovely anecdotes. And in general, mum would say that I was a really good child, baby. I would just spend hours, entertaining myself. So that also speaks to who I feel like I still am today as well. Contradiction, love being around people, but also like time on my own as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, hard relate on that because I wasn't always that person that enjoyed my own company, and I think we actually share that in common. Like both of us
Yeah.
are the life and soul of the party, but actually have learned over the years that solo time is so important for rest and recuperation,
Uh-huh.
but also
Uh-huh.
for that and for those moments of analyzing and becoming aware of what's happening in this moment.
Yeah. I think I'm better at you that at doing nothing though, Neil. I don't know if you can actually do nothing ever.
This is not about me, this is about you.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, people will be surprised because people do make really nice comments about me saying, "Oh, I love your energy. You're so positive. You're always up there, and you're always, joyful." And I love all those comments, but they don't see me, and I just can't be bothered to do anything, and just sit and watch Married at First Sight or something.
No, yeah.
Enjoy the enjoy. Let's not go there. Enjoy the doing nothing. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that comes from who I was, who I am, who I was as a child, and who I am innately. Is somebody that is quite happy on my own, but also loves being around people.
yeah. Thinking about school then, what were you like at school and what did you think was the goal when you grew up?
It may surprise you. I don't know if I've ever told you this, to know that I decided that I wanted to be famous, and more so, not only did I want to be famous, but I felt if I don't become famous, then my life won't have been worth living. And so that speaks to who this is really shy person, real goody two shoes in school, and yet secretly wanted to be famous. I was convinced I'd be famous. And flip side of that, I was also convinced that I would be murdered as a teenager.
The drama.
The drama. I would watch like the news and it'd be like, so and so died, and I'd be like, "Oh, she's 13. That's probably going to happen to me when I'm 13." Shy and loud. When my parents came out of the Air Force. So I was about 7, 8 years old. We moved to Hull. I had an Air Force accent, got immediately picked on at school for being different. My sister didn't. So there was something about me that was different, that was speaking to, pick on me. I would not fight back. I would cower. I would cry. I would run away from school. There'd always be people waiting to see me we'll see you at the school gates at 4:45, Jayney Flatman. And we've laughed about it over the years, but that was bloody horrible. So I just tried to
Yeah.
fit in and I tried to, do the accent, and a real sense of, not belonging. And yet there I was still being really conscientious, doing my homework,
Yeah.
being good at spelling and standing on my head, my two talents. Loved reading and writing. Remember one of my favourite teachers said that I would be a writer. So I suppose maybe at the time I clocked, oh, that's what I'm going to be famous for, but that never happened. So yeah, just surviving,
Mm.
really. That was me.
Yeah. And when we've talked about even in the lead up to this podcast, but generally we've talked about finding that sense of belonging, and chosen family is something that's incredibly important to both of us and such. But when you think back to that little Jayney that didn't feel like she belonged, because, you know, my own experience of bullying as well, really horrible, just didn't really understand why it was happening to me. What did you
Mhm.
think about the world at the time?
Thought about the world. It's funny, isn't it? There you are, just getting bullied, having whole class, bully, all rounded up against you. And there she is, this little girl, just like I remember going and telling my mum once, and then mum was going to go to the school, and I was like, no, 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 please don't go. I just remember all the name calling as well, and all the just, don't know. I think I just remember myself caught in a little ball, really, just trying to get through it. But I never didn't go to school. I
Yeah.
kind of just put up with it, and I think it taught me just to put up with things, but also to keep going. Again, the contradiction.
Yeah.
Just keep going and doing my best. And so I went through in Hull. You do junior and then junior high, so you're there in more or less the same school till you're 13. When I was 13, I went to high school, and it was even worse. It became unbearable, like really, really nasty, horrible bullying, whole class against me. God, I don't know what the teachers were doing, but
Yeah.
I remember that I was just surrounded by bullies, and it got so bad that mum actually did go to the council and got me removed from that school after about one term, I think. And then I went to another school, and I was never bullied ever again. And that's an interesting thing. I was still the same person.
Yeah.
What happened? Like, what was different? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it, when we look back and we just think like, what was it? Why was I singled out in that moment that
Yeah.
seemed to last for an eternity? What did healing and support look like at that time?
Well, I didn't have any healing or support. I just moved on, and I was just happy that it wasn't happening anymore. Made some good friends at the new school. I always had a series of sort of individual best friends, usually people who are a little bit different as well. One of my best friends at the time was Camlin Wong, and I spent a lot of time with her and her family, who ran the Chinese restaurant. Then I'd have another friend who was a bit naughty. I mean, again, contradictions. I was like goody two shoes. And then there's a naughty friend we're going messing about. We're doing graffiti somewhere, like really, really naughty. And then another sort of new best friend, where we went away together. And then, yeah, I never had a group of friends, but I had some individual pockets of, one or two best friends. And that's what I held on to, friendship, I think. And I
Yeah.
just forgot about what had happened before. So I didn't have any healing or support. And therapy has taught me how important that is, and what I'd missed out on by not having that. As I go later in life, other things happen, bullying at work, mental and physical abuse from a partner, and it sort of continued. And I've learned that I would say anybody who's been through anything or is going through anything right now, honestly, invest in therapy, deal with it, because otherwise it stays with you for years and years and years,
Yeah.
and it affects everything you're doing.
For sure. Retrospectively, it doesn't matter how far back. It's like it manifests
Mm.
itself in the
Mhm.
strangest and most obscure ways at times. So started a new school, fresh start. The bullying had stopped. What does teenage years look like for Jayney?
Carried on being a really good girl, but I noticed it was an all girls school, the new school. So I'm now getting on to like 14, 15, 16, and um, my friends were obviously talking about boys. The boys' school was like a join to the girls' school. And looking back, I was not interested in boys, but I just thought I wasn't interested. Not that I fancied girls either. I just thought that I don't know what I thought, but I thought, what's this thing you're supposed to do where you fancy boys? I don't think I do that. So I remember eventually went to Hull Fair, and I kissed somebody called Terry. I was about 15. It was the most disgusting kiss outside Hull Fair. And I was like, didn't know why it was so
Sorry, Tez.
disgusting. Yeah. So at some point, discovered dancing. I'd always sort of been a bit of a performer, this shy girl again, but some randomly would just dance around the house or come into the front room with my mum and dad and siblings and just do a random dance, or make my sister Sarah learn a, choreograph learn a dance. But yeah, so maybe around 14, that's when it was all the new romantic era. So Duran Duran would go to my Knickerbockers and go to the youth club and dance and love all of that. And then around about 15, 16, discovered alcohol. And was friends with one of my best friends still today, Helga, who had saved me from the bullies at the previous school, and we stayed friends. We discovered Spiders, this nightclub, and we used to go there and pretend to be 18 just by giving your date of birth. You didn't have to have any ID. And we would, I don't know why, but we pretended to our parents that we were ice skating in Sheffield, and we weren't. We were clubbing. Around about that time as well, a naughty kind of wild child girl moved in next door with her parents, not just on her own. She was about 16, Becky. And without a shadow of doubt, I completely fell in love with her. And I knew I was in love with her. And I knew that she was a girl and I was a girl. And I was like, I literally, for once in my life, remembered having a conversation with myself that went something like, I say once in my life because normally I don't have conversations. I just go with the flow for things. And I kind of wish I had then, but I didn't. I was like, no, you can't do that. You can't be a lesbian. You just can't. You can't do that. That wouldn't be your life. It would be horrible. You can't do that. And so I set about making sure that didn't.
Where did that thought process come from?
No, I don't. There was no doubt in my mind that I could not be a lesbian. It was really clear. It was a really clear thought. And I so love how it is for, well, pretty much everyone coming out today. Any 16-year-olds today having that experience would just immediately be like, oh, okay, I must be gay. Or I might be bi. Let me ask her out. Let me have a relationship or whatever. But I was so clear the other way around that I definitely I would not go down that route, because in my head that would be an awful life. And so I didn't. I was thinking about this the other day, preparing for today, and I was thinking, really, not long after that, I gave my attentions to the DJ at Spiders, Richard, and he became my boyfriend for 7 years. So I'd kind of grabbed onto something, and I thought I was in love with him at the time, but I grabbed onto something or someone that would save me from at the time my worst fear of being a lesbian. And I just love to see that isn't, for very many people, that isn't an issue anymore. I love it, but I also have some regrets that wasn't the case for me. And I remember going to Polly's festival a couple of years ago, the Out and Mile Festival, which was amazing. Absolutely loved it, but also feeling a tinge of sadness. Why hadn't I lived my life as the real me from the early age, from as soon as I knew, which was basically 16 years old?
Yeah. And do you partly think that is mixed in with some of the other experiences around not feeling like you belonging and overcoming some of the shyness and quietness and finding your voice? Do you think that's why you're showing up now the way you show?
Yeah, like you mean like making up for it kind of thing, making up lost time. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe there's more than one element, isn't there? There's finding my voice, finding my confidence. And then, yeah, you're right. There might be a little bit that's like, I wish I'd done it then, but well, I'm just bloody going to make sure I do it now and don't shy away from anything. Yeah. What
was early career like for you? What was your first starting in kind of the travel industry?
Well, actually, it's also related to not wanting to be a lesbian, because I got into what's it called, London University Goldsmiths College.
You went, Goldsmiths.
Came down for my interview. Me, 17 years old, coming to London from Hull on my own, went down to New Cross and from London Bridge, went to have this interview, went to the toilets, and on the toilet wall was, don't come to Goldsmiths, you'll become a lesbian. So honestly, this is how I made my decision. So remember, I'm already thinking, I definitely can't be a lesbian. That would be horrendous. I can't do that. I've got this boyfriend now to make sure that I don't become a lesbian. Toilet walls, come here and you'll become a lesbian. I can't go there, I said to myself. So I didn't. I randomly looked up some vocational courses and found a travel and tourism course, and which I thought meant I would be traveling the world. So I went up for an interview at New College Durham, which was not a university, it's a HND, so a higher college thingy. And it was also more attractive because it was only 2 years, not 3 years. I was like, I don't want to study for another 2 years. By now, I wasn't the goody two shoes that I had been doing my A levels. I wasn't goody two shoes anymore. I was bunking off school and all sorts. Sorry, Mum, if you'll ever listen to this.
I'm sure she
And
knows.
certainly, yeah, and certainly at college I didn't. But yeah, it was. So I went onto this course that was about the travel industry, business studies, and the travel industry, and therefore, when I left there in 86, I got my first job in the travel industry and been in the industry more or less the whole time since then.
Yeah, and you ultimately ended up in London anyway.
Ended up in London because eventually Richard, I'm not supposed to name names on this podcast, the boy
That's all
that
right.
I was seeing that was the DJ, and I wasn't bothered. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm not bothered. We should definitely split up. And so we did. And I went on my first ever girls' holiday, and my friend from college said, well, why don't you come and move to London? We could have fun like this every weekend. So again, decision, okay, I'll move to London for 6 months to a year. And 36 years later, I'm still here.
You're still
So, yeah.
here. Talk to me about those early days in London.
Well, I was really lucky. I think in life, so much just depends on your personal circumstances, where you end up, who's in your who's around, what they're doing, who you happen to meet. And I was just so lucky. I met some really great people, Martin, who you know that I'm still friends with to this day. And we had that lifestyle where a few of us just went out nearly every night in my work uniform, and be a mixture of a lot of gay bars, although I was supposedly straight because I was never going to be a lesbian, was I? But I would especially go out with Martin, and we would go to bars that were like half lesbian and half gay boys. And sometimes I would just say to Martin, oh, should we stay with this one a bit longer? Sort of enjoy being around the queer women. But mainly, I was on the gay men scene, boys scene. And, I'm really proud to seem to be the only girl that was allowed in the Brief Encounter, which was a crazy gay bar, and it was men only.
Yeah.
But they would always let me in, and I would always be very drunk, and I'd always be dancing around like a bloody in my uniform. And yeah, lots of crazy fun times, and that was the life. It was just literally going out every night. So I didn't know, before I moved to London, I didn't know you could go out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but apparently you can.
You
Yeah.
definitely I definitely can, and not now, but then, and even right up until kind of like the noughties / early 2010s, it felt like a regular thing that we would do.
Definitely. I mean, when I met you guys, it was 2009, 10. I was living in Clapham by then, wasn't I? And we were going out
Yeah.
every night then.
Absolutely. Yeah, without fail. So thinking back to those kind of like, flirting with the going into bars and being in lesbian spaces, what did the next steps feel like in terms of actually becoming out and proud as a lesbian? Because I know that early relationships didn't really lean into that too well for you.
Yeah, so I actually ended up in a relationship with another boy for a couple of years. I won't say his first name, but his second name was nondescript that I named him, and so, which is a bit mean, but that's who he was. So completely unsuited to me. Again, another opportunity to make sure that I didn't, become a lesbian, and then starting to go out and really get onto the gay clubbing scene more and more, going to the Fridge, Love Muscle at the Fridge, going with my friends and leaving them at the door at the end of the night because I was getting off with girls, in around the club, but then sort of not really having that awareness. Oh, what's going on? Nothing. I've just kissed loads of girls and I'll never see them again, kind of thing. And then until one night, it was probably, it was mid-90s. I I really feel like something took over me and I didn't make a conscious decision, but I found myself looking through Time Out magazine, going to the personal ads, phoning and arranging dates without really knowing. Like, now I'm going on a date with
Mm.
Elizabeth. And I'm going to go and meet Elizabeth. And I went to meet Elizabeth. And then I'm going to meet another girl. And then I was going to heaven and getting off with girls and then actually swapping numbers and
Mm.
often like getting scared and not texting them back or kept putting it off and not ever seeing them. And then until that carried on, like a little bit of dating, but bit in secret, until I met in Bagley's, actually, Famous Five, which was the really crazy Easter. No, it was actually the Maybank holiday weekend in '96. I ended up being in a relationship with her for 4 years. I now I was I'd say I was out. That's when I told everyone. And most people said, "Oh, we kind of knew already." And I was like, "Okay, why didn't you tell me?" But family and everyone said that they knew. Friends said they knew. So I don't know how they knew if I didn't. But there you go.
Yeah.
That was when I was out. So that's 30 years ago now, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
And definitely no looking back now. Taking it back to career, I'd love to know, is there a moment that felt like a failure that turned out to be the making of you?
So I saw this question in advance, and the problem is there's been so many. I there's been hundreds. There's been so many, and I think I'm proud of myself for being resilient. And nothing can stop me. Nothing's that bad. I can always push myself forward. I'd say the most recent one, because I was bullied at work before. I feel like before they even was even the term was even coined, the phrase was even coined, workplace bullying, um, back in sort of 95, 96. And I recently had therapy to get over that, some really effective therapy. But fast forward, and that was a good thing because I left eventually, and I ended up in a better place and a better job. But even going back 4 years ago, and this was pre-therapy, I found myself in a very similar situation, a job that I loved, being ruined by a person, a horrible boss, basically. But I didn't want to just give up. I wanted to fight it. And so I did fight it much more than I've ever fought anything. Going back to the bullies, I never fought the bullies. I never fought this workplace bully. I never fought the partner, the girlfriend that was beating me up and, mentally abusing me. But now I did fight. But then it was knowing, okay, I don't want to fight anymore. I could continue, but I'm actually just going to look for a job that I will enjoy more. And why that was a good thing was because I ended up in the job I'm in today, the one that pays a lot more, has a better lifestyle for me because it's permanently working from home, which suits me, and it allows me to be more creative. It allows me to use all of my experience over the last 30 years, and to do a pretty good job. And so that wasn't one of the many times I would say that a failure led to something better. But I could sit here and tell you so many, like
Yeah.
over the years, so many. Yeah.
Well, they shape us. They shape us in ways we need to be shaped, and actually, there's just so much growth that comes from them. And even in terms of your growth, the fact of you are smashing it with your career, but even now, you just use the term "pretty good job" there, and
Yeah.
actually really underselling yourself and the career that you've made because
Mm,
you've absolutely, the term around Jayney Fest was 60 sober and smashing it,
yeah.
but you are out there doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel good. I'm probably being a bit too modest, which I still need to. Might surprise some people. I still need to be not so modest. But I do. When I sit and reflect, I am really proud. If you look at, is there something like a wheel of life, all the different areas of your life? I'm pretty much when I've done some like life coach work, personal development work, and you have to put where you are with everything. I'd say I'm pretty high up with everything all the way around, relationship, home life, friendships, growth, development. I do feel really good. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you
glad.
should, and because you put the work in. I don't know many people that put the work in like you put the work in.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about is I've been looking to improve myself through self help development work from a very, very early age. From about the age of 14, I think the first book I bought was Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And so I've literally always been trying to improve myself in all different things. My friend Martin says, because he's known me for many years, he says, "You're always doing something. You've always got something that you're doing." And I'm really proud of that. I think I'm surprised that it didn't just work within like 2 years. I'm sure I thought when I was 14 I'd be sorted when I was 16, or at least by the time I was 20. But I'm okay with that as well. I know that it's an ongoing, forever journey, for want of a better word, to keep improving. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There isn't an end point to that, is there? It's just keep trying to improve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 and yeah, and look at your life. You can see
Yeah.
all of that work coming together. I'd love to know: is there someone that has shaped you the most along the way, or a lesson that you've learned that really stands out?
I'm going to say two people and answer this question. And they have very different approaches to life, but combined, they've really helped to make me the remarkable person I am today. There you go. And the first is my mum. She is so strong in the face of adversity, and she's had a lot. That how she influences more than she would ever realize, and the amount of times in my life, and I'm going through something really difficult, I'm not being treated very well, or some really, really harsh times, I've literally said to myself, what would my mum do? And I found this inner strength, and I've gone and done that thing that mum would do. For example, the horrible, nasty tenants that in my house in Gravesend all those years ago that were sort of squatting and stealing from me. They stole my identity, and I could feel myself. I was going to just lie down and
Mm.
take it. And it's like, what would mum do? No, I got on the train and I went in, and I went in with a fire. And I got them out of my house. Or the time when I carried a washing machine out of my flat. God knows how I did it, but you find this
Yeah.
inner strengths. That is the influence of nothing will defeat me. I can do it, and everything's okay, and I'm fine, and that. And then in 2009, I just completed one of my many self-development eras, which was landmark education. I'd gone to the beginners, I'd gone to the advanced, I'd gone to the self-expression and leadership. I'd done the whole caboodle, and it was pretty much feeling really good. A new way of thinking, which was about honesty and saying it how it is. So the opposite of mum in many ways. And I met this person in the Two Warriors in Clapham, and I said to him within a few minutes of meeting him, "Oh my God, I love the way you are. I've just been on a course, and I'm learning to be honest and just to be real. And I didn't know the word unapologetic then, but unapologetic. And there you were, just been taking no bullshit from the situation you found yourself in. I have continued to be inspired by you from that day. And I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but and you have just gone from strength to strength to strength. And it's just incredible to see where you are. But you had the innate in you to be real, to stand up for what's right. And to call it how it is, and just to be very, very clear in your communication. And I know that's gone through your career, but that's also gone through all of your friendships. And so I massively appreciate you for that, Neil, constantly.
Thank you so much. Well, that shaping goes both ways, because you have also massively shaped me, and so I'm so grateful for that. I feel very choked up by that answer, but thank you, means a lot. Does happiness and success though look out and feel how you thought it might?
No, because I thought I was going to read a couple of self-help books when I was 16 and have it all sorted when I was 25. I also thought that I was really, I thought I was going to be famous, didn't I? I thought I was, I have missed out that I was Alice in Wonderland when I was 12 years old. Little
I'll get where
me.
that was coming.
Got to get that out. Got to get that out. And I also thought that I would be climbing the ladder. I always wanted to, go to the next job, the next job. A while ago, and I don't think it's even to do with age, a while ago, I reached a point, I don't know, I kind of went too high in my career at one point and became too removed from the operational side, and I did that for a year and didn't really love it. So happiness and success at work, I feel like I've found my exact place, and it's deep enough to really motivate me, but there's nothing about trying to kind of get to the next level. I don't want to.
Mm.
And then I would say something you said earlier, Rich. Happiness and success is about happiness, just wanting to be happy. And that's not what I realized. Maybe I did realize by always, yearning for the self-help stuff, but realizing now that it's about the everyday. It's about appreciating everything you've got and working on any bits that you're not so
Yes.
happy with. And I still do that every day. Like, I have to remind myself sometimes, oh my God, life is amazing, because it's so easy to get complacent. And so I would honestly say I've achieved happiness and success, but not what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with it.
There's this, again, ever the walking contradiction. There's a
Yeah.
stillness because most people would not associate you with stillness and contentment. But I feel that from someone that started off life moving around so much, that then that continued for lots and lots of decades,
Yeah.
to now, as you hit 60, there's a stillness about your life that you seem to really enjoy, but it's definitely not complacent, because it's not that you're not doing anything. It's that you just seem really content in who you are and who you've got around you and what you've built.
Yeah. I'm so, so lucky. I think meeting Jess as well helped me to realize the life that I'd built. I mean, we joke that I kind of set the life up for her. I set up this perfect life for her, which was the most incredible group of friendships. The friendships that I built from 2009-10 that we all built together. First time ever of having a group of friends like that, then become pure chosen family. It expands as you meet more people, I meet more people. Living in London, buying a flat in relatively central London had been a dream. Remind myself on stressful days, it's the job I wanted, and it was perfect for me, meeting the perfect partner. Just the fact that so many people came to my birthday party. People came from, obviously, our really close friends came from Barcelona as well. And just looking around the room, or just looking around my life, and just really, really, really appreciating everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope appreciating you from a space, from a self congratulatory pat on the back as well, as of you created that. It
Yeah.
all just didn't happen. Like you
Yeah.
created that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely got better over the years at patting myself on the back,
Yeah.
and I'm nearly there. I'm not 100% there, but definitely pretty up there to say, yeah, I've achieved this, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think
No.
for years, I didn't think that was okay to say that, like, to take the credit, but
Yeah.
I think I do now. Yeah.
Yeah, and it comes down to all of the work, all of those self-help books, the sobriety, the intentionality versus the going with the flow. All of it has accumulated
Yeah.
on what's around you. So to bring this section to a close then, looking back so far, what are you most proud of to date?
I'm proud of lots of things because I'm getting good at, patting myself on the back. However, if I had to choose one thing which led to lots of other things, it has to be choosing to get sober. Or not even choosing to get sober, choosing to have a break from alcohol that led into what's now just been over 8 years. Because that one decision has changed my life, and it's impacted all the other areas that we've all already spoken about. And people that knew us back in the day, or even that know us now, we were the two least people in our friendship group that you would expect to do that. And I'm proud that I'll say it collectively, I'm proud that we didn't just stop drinking because we thought it'd be better if us to stop drinking, and then we sort of sloped away and had a different, calmer, let's say, life. I'm glad that we did it big. And we're still living really big, really joyfully, still clubbing, partying, doing crazy things like recording a single. Thanks, Neil. And I'm just really, really, really fucking proud of that. I mean, would never have seen that coming. And if you look at a sliding doors, what would my life have been like had I have not made that decision when I did? So I've got to be really proud of that. Yeah.
The House of Happiness is London's ultimate sober clubbing extravaganza. We're led and delivered but created for all, whether teetotal, sober curious or just taking a booze snooze. We love a day rave, and on a Saturday afternoon you can expect banging house tunes, DJs on decks, dancers on podiums and a fully stocked alcohol-free bar. Flamboyant, bold, with a glitter station to boot. We're all about safe, inclusive fun, and we even have a pre-meet so that you can make new sober buddies before you hit the dance floor. Grab your tickets from Instagram now at House of Happiness Official, and we'll see you on the dance floor. Are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Yes, I am.
What album, book or movie has had a lasting impact on you?
Right, there's a theme. I'm saying two things when you want one thing today.
I mean, I never
and
thought
so-
quick fire would be that quick fire with you anyway.
So these are two really practical books, and one is The Chimp Paradox by Steve Peters, and that's something I got into probably about five years ago. Why that's had a lasting impact is because for once, I actually did all the exercises in it. I did all the practical exercises in it. So I ended up with a life force manifesto. I ended up with the truths of life. I ended up with a daily goal plan where I would write down, what does happiness mean? And I literally worked through it every day. And from that, I had a golden goal that I worked towards every single day. And that's how I got my flat. And that's ultimately how I got my perfect girlfriend. And I'll share those. I was looking at them today. I'll share those things with you at some point. But it just really helped me to work out who I am. What are my values? What's my goal in life? What do I want to be? What are the standard behaviors that I want to make sure are really important to me and that I stick by? And also, when I remember one part, which was when something's gone wrong, what's the plan in human mode sorts out any situation. I can still use that today. I don't fill it in every day anymore, but that's definitely had a lasting and impact on me and my life. And another practical one is I think he's called Dave Allen, Getting Things Done. So I read his practical book many years ago to get myself organized in work or in life, and then my friend told me a few years ago he'd done a revised version of it, but it's still quite old now. I think that's 2015. And I'm not a naturally organized person, but if I follow processes and protocols from this book, all the time I'm following it, I'm the most efficient and I feel amazing and productive. So those two really practical books that I took and ran with and have been part of my identity in a way.
Yeah. I just remember when I first moved in with you, the bookshelf full of self-help books, and it's fascinating that those have been a staple in your life since you were 14 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mad, isn't it? And I used to be a bit ashamed of it. I wouldn't have said it to anyone. I was like, oh, self-help, but I've become proud of it. What's
Yeah.
wrong with that?
Nothing
Trying to
at all.
improve yourself.
Nothing
Yeah.
to be ashamed of at all. What's the saying you live by and one that you'd stick in the bin?
So two sayings I'd live by. The first is amor fati. Now it's Latin and it's got different translations, but the one I learnt through the self-development course I was on with Andy Ramage was for it to mean love what happens. So if you can live your life with love what happens, then life's a whole lot easier and you see the good thing that's everything that's happened. And obviously there will be some challenging times when that won't be possible. So for example, get the job, great, love it. Don't get the job, love what happens because something better's around the corner for you. So that has been really important for me, and I do use it and say, oh, I'm more fatty to myself or to anyone that's listening. And then the other one, which is more recent, but we always say this, which is two things can be true at once. That really, really, really massively helps me learning that was a thing.
Game
Change
changer.
things.
Game changer.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, this can happen. I can feel this and also this. It just works across so many situations. And then something I would put in the bin. Now, I haven't quite coined the actual phrase, but there's variations on it. But it's along the lines of, oh, that's just him or that's just her. You won't change that person. Or you just have to accept that that's the way they are. So there's two sides to that. No, I don't have to accept that they're the way they are. That might not be good enough for me and my friendship with that person. Either I can expect them to live up to the values that are important, or I don't have to be friends with them anymore, but it was learning that it's no, we don't accept that, and we don't just say. Think of my old colleague in the community that I used to run, and it was very much that was one example of many. But oh, that's just the way she is. She doesn't understand. She doesn't mean to be transphobic. She just doesn't understand. That's just the way she is. No, not good enough. So that needs to go in the...
Yeah. And I think you've been doing that for years anyway. For those listening, Jayney
Yeah.
has an amazing tool in her head where she just downgrades friendships based on people doing shitty things. And it's something I've always loved and adopted. But I think that that awareness around it takes that one step further. So I love that. What's been the best adventure of your life so far?
I would say the last 36 years since I decided to move to London for 6 months to a year. And I won't go through every single episode of those 36 years, but I'm so glad I did it.
That needs another podcast, because there are some stories in there, people, let me tell you.
Yes, I'm meeting Helen Mirren, going clubbing with Helen Mirren is up there. Moving to Australia for a year, just moving around so many different places, meeting you guys, and just having the biggest adventure, the unconventional adventure.
Yes.
Not the one I expected, but like you said, just, going with the flow, being intentional, and also just falling into things and saying yes to things along the way.
Yeah. I know we've had so many conversations over the years about embracing how unconventional we are and how we show up, and actually just making that okay. What 3 words would you use to describe you and your origin story?
Right. These 3 words came to me, and I still need to they came to me, they feel right. So I'm going to say them and own them. And hopefully by talking to you today, you can understand where I'm coming from. And it's no ordinary girl. So what I'm saying is I was always this shy, different girl, but actually that was never a bad thing, because I'm not your ordinary, whatever ordinary means, girl. I'm the person that has done lots of different things, led the unconventional lifestyle, proudly living it still, culminating in having a festival named Jayney Fest for her 60th birthday. So it's recognizing that, it's being proud of that. And for that reason, I really wanted to have no ordinary girl as my 3 words.
I love it. I mean, they're perfect. They're the perfect word. So I'm totally on board with those. Let's fast forward a little bit. What exciting things do you have coming up? Obviously, next year, a motherfucking wedding.
Went to see the wedding venue yesterday. It felt so special. We're getting married in a forest. We just looked up at the trees and the sky, and we're like, oh my God, we're actually getting married here. Really wanted to take it in. It's not until 11th of September next year, so lots of planning time. Really excited about that. And then you talk about looking at your sort of wheel of life, and is there anything that you would like that you don't already have? And I've always wanted a dog. I've never had my own dog before, and I've always loved, obviously, I'm anti to Pugsley. Other dogs. Yes. And I love that I lived with him for the first 7 years of his life. So me and Jess are getting a puppy called Parsnip. He's a Bedlington Terrier, and we're collecting him on the 18th of April. So we've got a holiday coming up on Friday. We're going to a yurt up in the mountains in southern Spain that we were at last year, which is the ultimate idyllic getaway after the craziness of the party and the craziness of work. So we go there on Friday, get back on Wednesday night, and then Saturday we pick up Parsnip. So the next 3 months is going to be training a puppy, which neither of us have done before. So we've done loads of research, and we've got puppy school happening straight after he gets here, and we've got the flat already. And we're just super excited.
Can't wait to meet him. Only a couple of weeks to go. Yeah. What brings you joy?
What brings me joy is this conversation has brought me joy. I love being in the flow in a conversation with a really good friend. Friendships, like laughing, just really feeling connected, being out in nature. What else? A lot of it's to do with just being in the flow, and I know when I'm in my joy and recognizing that and just loving it. So chosen family, my beautiful wife to be and soon to be son Parsnip will also bring me lots of joy.
I know. Yeah. Well, it's beautiful to see. It's I know Fee has a nickname for you, which is Janie Joy, and it's just you can definitely see that side of you that pops up in all the scenarios that you've just spoken about.
I love that. And I love when people say that. And that helps me to be more confident in my Janie Joy self, I suppose, and realize that's something I'm hopefully bringing to the world because I just love being happy and other people being happy.
Yeah. It shines through. What do you have a practical takeaway for anyone listening wanting to create an inclusive space like the House of Happiness or Queer and Now?
I would say just go for it. I would also say, maybe speaking from experience, just take it slowly and deliberately and slow down and, and just like work out, what exactly is needed, and work on delivering that exact thing, like we did with the House of Happiness.
Yeah.
Like I did with Pink Friday, but I would always look back and think, could have slowed down a bit, and been a bit more deliberate. But then that's not me. But
Then you figure
I
it
think
out, well, it's the contradiction, right? The go for it, but
Yeah.
actually do it intentionally and actually know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think, though, again, two things can exist at once.
Do it once, go for it, but slow down and do it intentionally. But if in doubt, go for it.
Well, Janie, my final question for you is this. Do you have any words of encouragement or wisdom for anyone out there to help them get to wherever they're going?
So, because I'm wise now that I'm 60, I should have some wisdom, shouldn't I? I would say keep going. Never let any failures set you back. There's always something around the corner that's going to make you glad that that thing happened or didn't happen. And keep smiling and playing and having fun in life, in everything that you're doing, and you will get there. Having a really big, really clear intention is really important, and then just keep going for it with passion, and you'll get there, definitely.
Yeah. You bring so much fun and passion to the world as well as joy. And I'm so grateful that our paths crossed back in 2009 and so grateful that I get to call you my chosen family. And I'm so glad you
Yeah.
said yes to doing this. And Janie took some convincing, right? If anyone
Yeah.
listening, Janie took some convincing for this, but you do have a story and you should be really fucking proud of who and where and what you are now. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed reflecting and thinking about where I am, and so it's been a really positive experience for me. So thank you for persuading me.
Wow, 60 sober and smashing it, babes.
It's over and smashing it. We won't sing, no.
Let's not. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to see you soon. Cheers.
Love you.